All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to my channel, One Take Commentary. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about tipping because, man, the conversation surrounding tips in the food industry, it's very mixed. I have noticed that, like, you'll see some people where they say, oh, yeah, you got to tip drivers and workers and all that stuff. And then there's others more so, I guess like where I more so agree with is that you're not entitled to a tip. If the customer wants to give you a tip, then okay. But to force people to give you a tip, yeah, I so here's the thing. I worked in the food industry for 4 years. I worked at this cafe in Seattle, and that was one of the first things that they told me, and I just pretty much ran with it because I was like, nah, man, even if it wasn't told to me, still, I don't feel like it's in my place to ask customers for tips. Like I was still getting good checks and stuff. So yeah, it's like tips. It was a very small percentage compared to my check. Like the tip money at times, I'm trying to think, what could you possibly get? It was like $20. And so it was either less than 20 or a little over 20, but I don't think there was ever a time where was able to pay a whole bill with just tip money and stuff. So that's why I never really had tripped off of tips. Like, I mean, I guess like if I wanted just to get me some, snacks or protein shakes throughout the week, then yeah, the money was there and stuff. But other than that, it was like I guess like I just I don't know, like I didn't really trip about it that much. Like I say, the checks were good and stuff. So and yeah, I was like there were at times where customers they would be generous with the tips. Like I mean, there was times where they would just walk up to me personally and which is they wouldn't even put it in the tip jar. They'd just walk up to me and just be like, "No, I want you to have this." And I'm like, "Hey, I ain't arguing with it. I'm like, money is money. Like, you live in a country like this, yeah. You ain't gonna turn down a dollar and stuff. So but or any amount and things. But no, overall though, there were times where we wasn't even really getting a whole lot of tips. Like there was at times where we have to because so one week we'll get our checks, the other week we'll get our tips, and there were some weeks where it was like the tip money wasn't even good enough to where it was like, yeah, let's just go ahead and wait until not next week, but the following week after next week. And then let's see how much we make when it comes to tips. And then there was a time too where one of the so we had actually got robbed at our cafe. Yeah, there was a time where person had like this elaborative plan of keeping one of the like it was these like push doors keeping it from closing all the way, so they put something in between, and then yeah, came through, ransacked the place, stole the one chef his knives, and I think the knives were like, I think they were like $300, I think. And so no, I remember the because it was like we were all cool with one another, so it wasn't like no stuff where it was like, I guess like if this conversation was brought up to me, even if we wasn't, I think it still would have been the same conversation. But overall, though, the my supervisor had approached me and was all like, "Hey, are you cool with giving up your tip money for a few weeks so the chef could get his knives back?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I understand. Like anybody would be upset. You spend that much money on some knives and then have it where somebody steals them and stuff." So I don't know if he ever did get his knives back, but I don't think he did because it was, yeah, if that was the case, when we still would have been getting our tip money and stuff. So and if that was a problem where I needed more money, like if the checks wasn't enough and I needed more money, I'll go out and get me a second job. I mean, I wasn't, so at the time, like I was getting paid through content creating. It wasn't a whole lot, but still it was something, And so I guess like that was, my side gig and things. But now, yeah, now it is a full-time job and stuff. But I never, and even with content creating, like they'll have it where it's like, people that can donate, like for streaming, for an example, where it's like you can gift subs, donate, bits and things, but it's like bits is like, depending on how much a person donates, it might not be a whole lot. Like there might be at times where somebody just donates like maybe 5 bits, 10 bits. I think the one that they show on Twitch, like the minimum amount that you can, because you can like divide it and just send out a bit to whoever and things. But I guess like the minimum purchase that you can make on Twitch is 100 bits, which is like $1 something and things. So yeah, I'm like, even with streaming and content creating and all of that, still I know I'm not entitled to nobody's money. Like all I guess I just care for is you come into the streams, chatting it up. or watching a YouTube video or a TikTok, whatever. But it's like a tip or donation, whatever. It's not needed. It's not necessary. But it's, I'm grateful and I'm thankful for those that do that and things. So yeah, it's not some stuff where it goes unnoticed or I just ignore it. I'm like, no, I do appreciate it, but at the same time, I'm not on no. And you'll see that even with content creating. Like there was the one streamer, she went viral some time back where she was all like, if you got time to watch my streams, then you got time to donate or like subs or subscribe to the channel. And for those that don't understand, that because subscribing is not like YouTube where you could just subscribe for free and stuff. No, on Twitch, when you subscribe to a person, I think it's like 5.99 now. So yeah, you do have to pay money to subscribe to a person, but it's not like on you can't follow them. So like following is free on Twitch, but it's just subscribing. That's like I guess like extra support or something like that. But it's only good for like a month and things. So that's why but it's like I think it's like no ads and that's about it and stuff. So yeah, I'm like I know at times like people do be tripping about that ads and stuff. And so I mean if you want to subscribe for that reason then okay, but I'm like I'm not going to put that out there or like mislead people and make it seem like that I have the best stream on the market. All I'm just doing is sitting around playing a video game and stuff. So if you think you're gonna get a Kai Cenat stream, no, you're gonna get a T-Moss Boss stream where I'm just doing what everybody else is doing, just playing a game and stuff. So yeah, I'm like and that's what I'm saying. I'm like I don't it's not needed or necessary. I mean, if you do want to donate and give subs and whatever, or even with YouTube and because I know there's like the super chat thing, I appreciate that. I thank you guys for that. But yeah, at the same time, it's not needed. So that's why I'm like, I guess like with me, I'm humbled enough to know that it's like, okay, it's like all of this can get taken away from me that fast. So I'm like making comments talking about, oh, if you got time to watch my videos, streams, whatever, then you got time to donate and all that other. No, it don't work like that. And a lot of people need to understand that it doesn't, whether it's the food industry or any industry where there's a, tipping business going on, that you are not entitled to them people's money. And the amount of times where I've seen people get so upset because they're not getting a tip, and it's like, why do you feel that you're entitled to that person? Do you know what's going on in their personal life? Person be having all these, bills, problems, all these other things to where every dollar counts in their wallet, and you think you're entitled to it because you delivered their Happy Meal to their house. And the reason why I'm even doing this video is because so I see this video on Twitter. The guy, he had all these people's food being held up at the restaurant, wherever and stuff. And he was all like, "Oh, until you give me a tip, then that's when I'll deliver your food." And it's things like that where I'm like, "All right, so if I call up your I guess like if it's Uber Eats or whatever, does Lyft have like a? They probably do, where it's like a food delivery thing. But if I call up that company and report you, and then now you lost your job, do you think it's worth it holding the people's food? And I'm like, yeah, you have my food, but at the end of the day, what's more important, keeping this job or just or yeah, I guess like losing it because you're trying to prove a point. And I'm like, okay, point proven. Give me my food. It's like it's people that trip over that type of stuff, and I'm like, man, the 4 years where I worked at that cafe, I never tripped over the tips, and I'm like, again, because I was getting paid good enough to where it's like, yeah, it's like I'm not saying that the tips was unnecessary. I'm like, again, every dollar counts, but at the same time, I'm like, I was getting good enough checks to where I'm like, yeah, it's cool. Like there's at times where it's like customers, it was like they would trip about it. They were like, oh, I don't have nothing to tip you. I'm like, man, it's cool, bro. I'm like, you come in here, give me a a positive attitude. That's more than anything else that I could ask for and stuff. So I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I appreciate that, because yeah, there would be at times where I'm like, it'd be customers where it's like they just come in with attitude and stuff, and I'm like, bro, why'd you come in today? Go on a vacation or something. Just stop coming back in here and things. But anyways, yeah, it's like with tips though, it's just it never was a thing where I needed the tip that badly to where I'm like harassing people over the tips and stuff. So but man, I mean, like just seeing when them videos go viral, like I'll never forget the one video of the guy, and I'm like, he did that because he knew that it was like probably some small woman that he can intimidate. But I guarantee and I promise you, let that have been like prime Mark Henry or Brock Lesnar or I'm trying to think of somebody else, Marshawn Lynch, like some like athletes where it's like yeah, they ain't no intimidating them and things. But overall though, he goes, but he so this is how the video, because you possibly could watch the video yourself and things if you can find it. But anyways, so the guy, he's banging on the door, and I think either banged on the door first or he called first, but either way, he does call, he does eventually get on the phone with the person. I can't remember which one happened first, but he was all like talking about that. He was like, I noticed that she didn't leave no tip. So you can't hear what the person is saying, but I guess like they were giving out a reason on why that they couldn't tip. Then he proceeds on cussing the person out, hanging up the phone, and then walking off. And I'm thinking to myself, you think videos like this aren't gonna go viral? You just think like, oh, everybody's gonna have my back because I'm, your entitlement is telling you that everybody is like, no, it don't work like that. And there are some people that do agree, with his behavior and things. And I'm like, yeah, when you lose your job, let's see how far that behavior gets you and stuff. But yeah, I seen videos like that. Then there was the one story where the woman, I think yeah, it was like she didn't get no tips, so she showed up. I don't know who the people that she showed up with, but proceeded to rob the woman and I think stab her too. And I'm thinking to myself, so you're willing to go to prison behind some tip money? And I guess for somebody that is that you've never worked in the food industry, if you've never worked at a job where like tips were required, like I said, tips is like a little under 20 and maybe a little over 20, and I think that was just working at a cafe. With jobs like I guess like, yeah, it might be a little bit more with like delivery services and things, but other than that, it's like, yeah, it's not going to be enough where if you have like, bills or taxes or whatever, it's like you ain't going to be able to pay that off with tip money and things. If that's the case, get rid of your check and just rely on tips, so and I'm like, and people ain't trying to do that. So that's why I'm like, man, people always be wanting to argue with that. There ain't no argument for it. You're not entitled to a person's money. If that person decides to give you a tip, then okay. But I'm like, but my thing is this though. If you're gonna try that energy on some like small person that you can intimidate, most likely it's an older woman or a younger one, but it's like somebody that like you got kind of some size over them. Go to the hood and do that. Go to Compton and do some stuff like that, where it's like, oh yeah, it's like I'm entitled to a tip. Yeah, it's like you gonna feel a hollow tip. And I'm like, that's what you're gonna be feeling. So yeah, it's like it's just people out there, they want to try that stuff with like people that they can intimidate, but it's like, yeah, it's like till you find the right and wrong one. I'm like, the right one because they gonna humble you, but the wrong one because it's like they gonna possibly land you off up in the hospital or something. So but anyways, yeah, you just got people out there where it's like their entitlement, they just it's so strong to where it's like, money that they didn't even like earn, work for, or nothing. They just think, oh, I'm entitled to it because I said so. And it's like, no, it don't work like that. So anyways, with that being said, yeah, I just felt like it was needed to talk on that. People stop, like it's one of those things where, again, rephrasing that, stop asking for tips before, yeah, you feel a different type of tip, a hollow tip. Because yeah, there's people nowadays where they're crazy and you come banging on their door demanding money and see, yeah, it's all like, I don't know what's going on, but I know I have something to protect myself, so that's what I'm going to do. And I know people gonna try to, oh, you're wrong for that, and I'm like, no, you're wrong for banging on my door yelling at me over some money that you didn't even earn. I'm like, if you're working or whatever, then it's like, okay, then I'm like, then that's, yeah, it's called a check. But it's like, if you just a random person that you the thing is this though, what's so crazy about that, you signed up for that job. All right. So you can't blame nobody besides yourself. If you want more money, then you have to go out and get you another job or a second job, whatever. But it's like you can't be out there demanding money from people. And it's like it's called that's a robbery. I'm like, you're robbing people. And it's like you ain't even did nothing to deserve that money. So, anyways, yeah. I'm like, I just, you got some people out there where it's like, even after this video airs, it's like there's still gonna be people where it's like there's that entitlement where they're like, they watch this whole video and they're like, nope, I'm still gonna be harassing people over tip. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm like, see how far that gets you. It's like you either gonna lose your job or it's like you meet the right and wrong one, you might end up losing your life. So that's why I'm like, is it really worth it over what, a little over $20, maybe a little bit more in things? But anyways, with that being said, talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe if you are new to the channel, and peace.